With camera sensors getting better and better every year, we are now at a point where cinematographers and filmmakers are trying to find new and unique ways to make their work or project stand out from the crowd. And this is attempted in a range of different ways, such as camera movement, lighting, different cameras, and of course, different lenses. And the latter is arguably one of the most spoken about online. From the budding DP to award winner, vintage or characterful lenses are of massive interest right now. We've covered a lot of interesting and vintage inspired lenses in our videos, but today I want to talk about more clean cinema lenses and why they definitely still have their place across the image creation spectrum. Throughout the years, so many amazing films, TV and commercials have been shot on what we would class as clean lenses, including some of my favourite looking productions. But before we get into what lenses are out there and what they've been used on, let's take a look at what lens characteristics make up a clean lens. Before we get into the video, I just want to give a massive shout out to the Cine Lens Manual. A lot of the research I did for this video was from this book, and it really is a fantastic resource if you are a cinematographer or a budding lens nerd like me. So how exactly do we define a clean lens? Well, I think it can be broken down to a few different characteristics, but one thing to always be aware of is that no lens is perfect. When designing a lens, there are so many things to consider and control, and each of these points are different pieces of the puzzle that optical engineers have to think about when designing a lens. Honestly, optical design is an incredible blend of science and art, and I have a massive amount of respect for anyone who does it. The first thing that I think people associate with clean lenses is how well a lens controls aberrations. This could be axial or lateral chromatic, spherical, coma, or astigmatism. A lens being designed to be as optically perfect as possible will try to have minimal aberrations even wide open across its image circle. Out of these, I think lack of chromatic aberration is what people mainly associate with a clean lens. There are a few ways that lens designers will try and reduce chromatic aberration with their designs. There are actually a few lenses that are apochromatic, such as the dual-lens mini primes, which have much better chromatic aberration correction than achromatic lenses. Looking at the signature prime we have here, which is obviously right at the top end of cinema lenses, we can see just how well they perform. A lot of modern cinema and photographic lenses can resolve really well, but some are definitely better than others. If we take a look at a signature prime on our projector, we can see that even wide open, that it can resolve 200 line pairs even in the corners, which is really good. And if we put something a bit more characterful on, we can see that some lenses can't even resolve that in the center wide open without their aberration affecting their performance or the performance falling off towards the corners of frame. Lots of lenses are good to stop down, but another character of a high-end clean lens is how well they perform wide open. Field curvature is the shape of the focal plane of a lens, and a lens that controls this well will be referred to as having a flat field. How much the lens's focal plane curves can really affect how your image looks. Geometric distortion is common to see across all lenses, but a well-corrected lens often has a very low distortion profile compared to other more characterful lenses, which can get very aggressive. There are three different main types of distortion: barrel, pincushion, and mustache, but barrel is often the most preferred one out of the three. Minimal focus breathing is definitely associated with cleaner lenses, and if we take a look at a master prime on camera, you can see how excellently it handles this. If we grab a lens that has pretty heavy focus breathing, we can see just how much of a difference it can make to a shot. Legendary cinematographer Roger Deakins is known to hate focus breathing, so it makes sense why he loves the master primes and signature primes so much, which both perform excellently when it comes to breathing. Flares are incredibly subjective, and there are so many things to creatively consider when choosing a lens for its flare characteristic and how you flare it. More often than not, clean lenses have very well controlled flares with minimal artifacting, while more uncontrolled lenses can really change the image when flared. A flare can be seen as distracting, but it also could add to the aesthetic of your image, or be a storytelling tool. And if this is something you want to learn more about, I highly recommend checking out Marcus Forderer's excellent talk from the BSC Expo earlier this year, and his excellent CineFlares online tool. Links to both of them are in the description below. Colour is arguably one of the easiest things to manipulate in post, but different lenses will lean towards different colour tints and shifts depending on how they are designed. Clean lenses are normally designed to be more neutral than have heavy colour shifts, which can be seen in more characterful lenses. Lastly is how the out of focus highlights are rendered. Most clean lenses will have minimal texture in their out of focus highlights, no CA, and good consistent shape. though pupil occlusion resulting in misshapen bokeh is often seen even on the highest end lenses. Different lenses will choose to either over or undercorrect spherical aberration, which can change how the out of focus elements look in your image. Most of the aforementioned factors can also change how a lens renders its out of focus highlights. Right, let's take a look at some actual lenses and some examples of how they've been used. There are several cinema lens sets which I would class as clean, but one of the most legendary that have developed a reputation for being incredibly clean and sharp are the ARRI Zeiss Master Primes. These came out all the way back in 2005 and have been used a lot throughout cinema, documentary, advertising, and so many different types of productions. They are known for their consistent fast t1.3 aperture, almost zero aberrations, very well controlled breathing, smooth skin tones, high contrast, neutral colour and excellent flare control. As ARRI co-designed the Master Primes with Zeiss, unsurprisingly they are based around some of Zeiss's older existing lens designs. The Master Prime set consists of 16 different focal lengths, which is an insane amount to choose from, and they are surprisingly consistent size and design wise across the set. I still remember the first time I got my hands on one of these lenses. I was so excited, and when I got them on camera I really wasn't disappointed. The image they can capture really is gorgeous, and on projector they are some of the best performing lenses that I've ever tested. This clean, sharp and well controlled image is a big reason why they've actually been used a bunch by the legendary Roger Deakins on films like No Country for Old Men, Skyfall, Prisoners, Sicario, and one of my favourite looking films, Blade Runner 2049. Deakins is known to use clean lenses with minimal optical characteristics, as he finds certain optical flaws like breathing and chromatic aberration distracting, though in the past he has employed more quirky or characteral lenses in certain features and scenes that require it for the sake of the story. And I think that's the right way to do it. Lenses should be a motivated choice for the story you're telling, and it's clear here that Deakins wants the other components that make up his cinematography, such as his composition, movement and lighting, to speak more than the character of his lensing. As well as Deakins, fellow renowned cinematographer Emanuel Chivo Lubezki has also gravitated to the Master Primes, using them on incredible films such as Children of Men, Gravity, Birdman and The Revenant. In 2018, ARRI introduced their long-awaited Alexa LF and a new series of full-frame lenses, the Signature Primes. Unsurprisingly, Deakins immediately gravitated towards using them, which he did on 1917 and Empire of Light. The Signature Primes can kind of be thought of as full-frame Master Primes, as their design ethos was about creating the next pinnacle of cinema optics, and ARRI did a fantastic job here. The Signature Primes are an incredibly nicely balanced set of lenses. They resolve incredibly well across their image circles, have well-controlled breathing, distortion and flaring, and they also have very minimal chromatic aberration, which will be in part thanks to their telecentric design. ARRI have also tuned the chromatic aberration in the outer focus regions from red and green to more warm and cool, which helps the aberrations that are present look a bit more pleasing. They have also tuned the spherical aberration to be well controlled in the focus areas, but in the outer focus areas it is undercorrected, which produces smoother elements in our outer focus areas. All of these characteristics help produce their really nice imagery, and for this reason they've been used on a bunch of commercials, features, and high budget productions like RRR, Wednesday, and the Banshees of Inisherin. In 2018, Zeiss also announced their flagship cinema lenses, the Supreme Primes. They've been very popular since their release due to their balance of clean, well-resolving optics with a little touch of character. They have been used on productions like The Queen's Gambit, Talk to Me, Knives Out, Glass Onion, Barbarian, Beef, and Triangle of Sadness. They are fast T1.5 full-frame primes that are incredibly compact given their image characteristics. We love using the Supremes as they perform similarly to the Otus, which are some of our favourite lenses, but obviously in more robust cinema housings. Leitz have been in the conversation with ARRI and Zeiss when it comes to clean optics for years. Their Summilux C series and full-frame Leitz primes are some incredibly well-designed optics. The Summilux Cs are still used on productions today, with some of their most notable uses being Fincher's last few productions. Fincher is known for his very well-controlled and methodical style of filmmaking, and that informs his lens choice. Because the Summiluxes are so good optically, Fincher employs them to capture the scene as perfectly as he can, and then in post, imperfections and character can be tweaked and added digitally. We actually did a video last year where we delved deep into how and why he uses these lenses, so if you want to learn more, I would recommend checking it out if you haven't already. The Tokina Vista primes are a slightly newer and more affordable take on a cleaner cinema lens. I recently watched Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and As I regularly do after watching something, I checked the behind the scenes out, and it was actually shot on these lenses, and it's certainly not the first large profile production to use them either. One of the most high profile productions that has used them has to be Ted Lasso, and DP David Rom found the Vista Primes fit the characteristics he needed for the show. They resolve really well even wide open, which is something that Rom looked for to allow him to shoot wide open to separate subjects for narrative effect, while still capturing nice clean images. Considering their price, they really are very nice lenses. The only downside for them are their flare colour, which some people don't like, and their large heavy design, but given how good they are optically and their t1.5 maximum aperture, their size and weight is understandable. They recently introduced the Vista P lenses too, which are aimed at being a bit more arty than the normal Vistas. This is achieved by coating changes and element spacing to try and add some more character to the lenses. There are of course loads of other lenses that I would class as clean, such as ARRI's Ultra Primes, Ingenu's Optimo Primes, Sigma Cines, and even Cooke's S7s. There are even a few zooms that are super clean, such as the Fujinon Premier and Premista lenses and Zeiss's compact zooms. I know a lot of these lenses that we've spoken about are a bit beyond a lot of filmmakers' budgets, but there are actually a few options available in the affordable end of the spectrum that I would class as clean as well. If you can deal with the compromises of using a photographic lens for video or cinema acquisition, there are actually a bunch of stills lenses that would fall into this category. However, if you need more traditional cinema house lenses, we have a few solid recommendations. On the most affordable end of the spectrum, I would look at the Nissi Athena Primes and the DoLens APO Mini Primes. The Nissi Athena lenses are very well corrected, clean and solid optics. At their price and physical size, they are pretty unique. They are sharp, have low aberration and handle distortion and focus breathing really well. They really are very impressive given their aggressive price point. The DoLens APO Mini Primes are apochromatic, as we mentioned earlier, which means that they are incredibly clean of chromatic aberrations. They have well controlled distortion, resolve well wide open, with slight fall off towards the edges of its image circle, and can produce some really nice images. I would say that they lean slightly more arty than the Nissis, but they really are an excellent set of lenses that now have a nice blend of vintage and modern optical design elements. We also love the Zeiss Otus lenses, which we have used for years. They are super sharp across their entire image circle, even wide open. Though in extreme contrast scenarios, you can see a touch of CA, but not much, and we still use them because of how much we love the image they capture. We've tested all of these lens sets pretty in-depthly in previous videos, and they are all fantastic in their own ways. On the slightly higher end, you have the Tokina Vistas, which we mentioned earlier, and Sigma Cines, which still perform very well considering that they are based on Sigma's art series of stills primes. They're incredibly sharp, well-corrected lenses that have been very popular over the years, and you can now get them used very affordably. So if you are looking to buy a lens set as an owner-operator, going for a cleaner set could be a smarter choice, as you could add filtration in front or behind of your lens, or use something like the Modulate Tuner or an anamorphic adapter when you want something a bit more interesting or arty. High-end lens manufacturers have also leaned into this, such as with ARRI with their signature primes, which have a rear magnetic filter holder and their really interesting impression filters, which allow people to adjust the character of their signature primes. You also have the option to add lens artifacts in post. This could be lens flares or filtration effects. We spoke about how Fincher achieved this in some of his previous works in one of our previous videos, so if you want to learn more about that, link to that video is in the description below. This can easily be done though with third-party plugins for Resolve or even with some of Resolve 19's new built-in tools. Anyway, let us know what you think of clean lenses and what your go-to lenses are in the comments below. And if you like the video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.